Hello, and welcome to the Self-Care with Herbs segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I'm your host, Jess Bosker, naturopath, herbalist, and medicine maker. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Banjalang people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Now, come along and join me each month for beautiful conversations with guests from across the country, exploring ways we can weave plant medicine into our days to enrich our experience of self-care, sharing routines, rituals, and recipes for elevating mind, body, and spirit. Hello everyone, and welcome to this spring year in review episode of the Self-Care with Herbs segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I'm speaking to you today on a glorious spring day. It's one of those days when there's crispness in the air in the morning and the evening and beautiful sunshine in the day. My garden's starting to unfurl, the birds are calling, and it's just such a magical time of year. I thought I'd start by having a little chat about the things that are anchoring my days at the moment, because that's often a big theme that we explore during the chats on this segment. I've really been leaning into my morning walks at dawn along the beach here. It's the time of year when the days are starting to get a little bit longer. So as I'm walking, the moon is still in the sky and the dawn colours are starting to touch the horizon, and it's such a magic time down on the beach, hearing the birds wake up, noticing the small things. Maybe it's the wattles in blossom or the leaves blowing in the wind. I'm trying to really consciously lean into slowing down as it feels like the year's starting to speed up. Taking some slow belly breaths through the day, trying to really slow my movements. I talk about this a lot with clients in clinic, where just that act of slowing down our movements, whether it's preparing a cup of tea, whether it's walking from room to room, you'll notice that if you consciously slow those movements down, it's not going to mean that you're late to where you need to be or what you need to do next, but it is going to mean that your body moves into that safer state where you feel your breath deepen and your heart rate slow. I've been trying to introduce micro moments of mindfulness throughout the day. So it doesn't take a long time, just a few seconds, whether that's watching an ant crawl around on the concrete or noticing the leaves changing colour, more green shoots coming through, just small little pockets throughout the day that help you to pause and take a breath. Things that are thriving at the moment in my life, I'm really excited to be preparing a new workshop, Honey as Medicine. It feels really apt to be using honey at this time of year in springtime. I'm really excited to be exploring electuaries, which are dried herbs mixed with honey. One of my morning rituals is a chai tea, which I often add a small amount of honey to. And I'm really excited about bringing in electuaries as a way of sweetening my drinks, but also bringing more herbs into my days. And I'm also going to be teaching about oxymels, which are a really easy way to begin creating herbal tinctures. Oxymels are a combination of honey and vinegar, and we can use them to draw out the medicine from herbs fresh or dried. So this is still an imagining at the moment. The workshop's coming together. If you're not on my mailing list, that's a great way to hear about things like this as they come about. I spent a beautiful day not so long ago visiting the farm of a friend of mine who I recently interviewed on the podcast. I'll chat more about her episode later. Sash is an organic herb and vegetable grower, and I spent the most magical day with her on her organic farm. We did some weeding, we checked out the herbs she has growing, and I was absolutely ecstatic to harvest some of her amazing organic chamomile. Connecting with the herbs in that way was a really special experience. Some of the herbs that are making themselves known at the moment for me I've been working with elderberry recently. I make a couple of batches of elderberry syrup for my community each year, and I'm amazed how much it's absolutely lapped up each year. The orders flow in, and people have such lovely feedback about how beautifully elderberry supports them and their families through the winter months. It's such a lovely one, taken at the first sign of a sniffle frequently. It can really help to ease the symptoms and even shorten the duration of a cold. I have skullcap bursting back to life in my garden. I always think each year that it is going to be lost. It really disappears throughout the winter months, and I am so thrilled each year when it starts to green up again. It's always so exciting. Calendula, I'm getting the first blooms from my little calendula plants. I try and plant a good amount each year because I love to harvest the flowers and dry them, infuse them in oil, and create a beautiful, soothing calendula balm. It's one of my favourite things to do. I also have some beautiful nettle thriving in my garden. I've tried to grow nettle before, and I think I just had it in the wrong spot. But this year I planted nettle underneath my avocado tree, and it's really thriving at the moment. Spring nettle coming through. I speak about nettle with Sasha in her episode. We'll talk about that a little bit down the track. I love nettle for its beautiful nutritive properties. I find myself prescribing nettle tea frequently to clients who need a little bit of a lift. It's great for those of us who find iron levels are a little bit low at times, and I really love it in that postpartum period for nourishing mamas. Alongside nettle, I have a little motherwort plant which I'm nurturing and nourishing. Motherwort's a real favourite of mine. We'll actually be speaking about motherwort as a team coming up, which is exciting. So I'll leave that. I won't talk too much about motherwort right now. Next to motherwort, I have 3 beautiful, thriving comfrey plants. I haven't had much luck with comfrey in the past. I know it grows really well for lots of people, but again, I think I had it in the wrong spot. And I'm looking forward to having enough comfrey that I can safely harvest both the root and the leaf, because I find that combining the plant in this way creates the most potent, beautiful herbal balms. And the final herb that's really thriving right now is lemon balm. I have a little patch of lemon balm that's really starting to thrive and green up. And I love lemon balm as a tea. It's just that beautiful flavour. I've been finding myself using it a lot with clients recently for that premenstrual mood changes and tenderness that can come about. I love that lemon balm. Feels like a beautiful, nourishing ritual to incorporate, and it can just really help to take the edge off those feelings that we sometimes experience in that premenstrual phase. I'm going to jump in now to a reflection on the year that has been on this segment. I'm trying to pull together some of the themes that we explored as we had our conversation. So rather than go through each of the episodes chronologically, I've pulled them together in themes that have come up across the different episodes. First of all, I want to talk about the episode that I released last spring with Kat Green. We had a great chat about how health is built collectively. Kat's been a regular guest on the podcast. I think she's actually been interviewed on nearly every segment. We love you, Kat. She's an amazing community connector who's building a fantastic web of humans and plants all over the country through her workshops and online courses. She's a passionate communicator and a fun teacher, and she really makes herbs feel accessible to everyone. Kat's also a really big picture thinker, and though she agrees that the small steps that we take every day to care for ourselves are important, she really encourages us to think about the systems and the current expectations in society that sometimes make these small steps feel almost impossible for some people. She asks, can we agitate in our workplaces, within our local governments and beyond for change? Are we having conversations with our friends and loved ones about what's needed on a practical level? We admit that we don't have all of the answers, but that it's really important to have these conversations because, like I said, it can feel impossible to have the mental capacity and the physical space to fit in even thinking about caring for ourselves beyond the essentials when the systems in place that govern how we live our lives make it next to near impossible. My chat with Lou Hardwick this autumn also explored big themes. Like Kat, Lou's another grassroots herbalist. She's really about creating community. Her handcrafted herbal folk remedies help connect people to the plants in a really beautiful way. She also brings together herbalists, makers and plant folk from across the country in her Herbaceous Almanac, which is an online herbal marketplace and community space. Lou speaks really candidly about the difficulty of maintaining daily acts of self-care when bigger, fundamental life decisions can create obstacles. When we're not ready or able to make the changes in our lives that can create the space needed, both mentally and logistically, for daily self-care, it can feel really hard and frustrating. Lou shares in this chat how it's been some of the most difficult and challenging turning points in her life that have been the most impactful in the way she cares for and nourishes herself on all levels. Autumn also created space for me to catch up with one of my favourite local artists, Daly Ella, and I welcomed her back for her second chat on the podcast. Daly's undergone immense change, both personally and professionally, over the past couple of years, culminating in a period of intense burnout. Like Lou and Kat, she agrees that big picture thinking is really necessary if we're to maintain the space and mental capacity to consistently care for ourselves. It took a complete overhaul of her business and some deep personal reflection for Daly to reach a place where she's leaning into prioritising self-care as a necessary and vital part of not only her own well-being, but the sustainability of her creative process and her business. Nature connection, mental stillness, and creating space to ponder and reflect have consistently been big themes of this segment, and this year was no different. In a time when multitasking is seen as a superpower, it takes a certain level of commitment to pause, to notice, to really listen in to what our minds and bodies are telling us, and to what's happening in the natural world around us. But when we do, there's such great rewards. How do you feel after spending just a few moments watching a bee buzzing in a calendula flower? Or really listening in to the morning bird song? Closing your eyes and feeling the afternoon breeze on your face? Does your breath deepen? Your heart rate slow? Your mind stop whirling? Is it easier to hear what your body needs from you? Last summer, I released a beautiful chat with Nell Coggan about the value of mental stillness. Nell's an experienced educator and practitioner of kinesiology and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy who encourages us to find small pockets of mindfulness throughout our days. She mourns the loss of space to daydream in our busy lives and encourages us to let our minds wander. Ali Meyer also celebrates the value of daydreaming during our chat released last spring. Ali's a children's book author, naturopathic herbalist and Andean medicine carrier. Like many of us during our childhood, Ali was often told, "It's just your imagination," as if what was found there was false or unimportant. But like she says, what if the Wright brothers never imagined flying a plane? Throughout her life, Alice treated the imagination as a source of inspiration and an encouragement to keep her eyes, ears, and heart open, fostering a deep connection with her inner child and the natural world around her. Amber Alchemist shares Ali's deep reverence for the natural world, and our chat during winter this year explores her upbringing on the wild islands off the coast of Western Australia. These early childhood experiences shaped Amber's passion for nature connection and heavily influenced the way she connects with herbs as part of her practice and medicine making. Amber explains how being connected with Earth and her cycles is reflected in her passion for keeping the traditions and constitutional practices of naturopathy alive, looking at the whole person rather than reducing someone to their symptoms. One of my most recent episodes with Sasha London Welker explores the themes of nature connection and deep herbal relationships further. Sasha and her partner Reese farm organic herbs and vegetables on Green Goddess Farm. Sasha shares her childhood connections with herbs like nettle, brought in through the family tradition of a spring nettle harvest each year, and how that really sparked her love of plants and the natural world. Farming and working the land requires Sasha to pay deep attention to the natural world around her and has helped her form very special relationships with many herbal medicines. From the cycles of Mother Earth to the cycles of our own bodies, I felt honoured to have deep conversations with two wise women about menstrual cycle awareness and the richness this connection can bring to our lives. Last summer, I chatted with Amanda Trieger, earth medicine woman, women's health advocate and cyclical guide. I loved hearing Amanda's epiphany when she realised tucking self-care in around the edges of her life wasn't going to be sustainable. How many of us do this? Just find little pockets and tuck self-care in here and there, sometimes completely forgetting. The dramatic shifts she experienced when her understanding of the menstrual cycle began to drive her self-care are inspiring. We loop deeper and deeper during this chat into lunar cycles, seasonal cycles and life cycles through the menstruality timeline. My chat with Kerry Alexander further explores the value of menstrual cycle awareness in encouraging us to pause and reflect, helping us to assess what our needs are during the different phases and stages. Kerry's a naturopath, herbalist, and menstrual health women's wisdom educator. During our chat, she shares a powerful way of looking at the menstrual mandala to reflect on opposite sides of the cycle. So seeing, for example, that overgiving during ovulation can result in a flaring of symptoms during our menstrual phase. Claire Murray knows intimately the impact of overgiving. She lives in a body that requires her to be very aware of the whispers that signal she needs to pay attention. Claire's a naturopath, herbalist, and medicine maker who works from a place of deep empathy. From personal experience, Claire knows that caring for herself needs to be woven tightly into her every day. I love how she encourages us to consider self-care as a constant little tending. I chatted with Beth Attard last month about this need for constant re-evaluation and responding to our needs. Beth's a naturopathic herbalist with a passion for supporting neurodivergent folks. Her practical advice around keeping self-care at the forefront when a neurodivergent brain struggles with consistency is inspiring. I loved hearing her tips about maintaining body awareness as a way of tuning in, and the wisdom she shares on building a toolkit of strategies and routines to draw on. Chanel Engel, who I chatted with last spring, shares a toolkit of a different kind during our chat. She's a homeopath who specialises in women's health and generously shares some of the remedies she leans into during the different ages and stages of a woman's life. It was fascinating hearing the parallels between some of my favourite herbs and their homeopathic actions. All of these episodes released over the past 12 months offer inspiration, solace, and many, many practical tools which I invite you to begin weaving into your days. Thank you so much for listening in. If you love the podcast, you can show your support by leaving a review, sharing episodes with your friends and family, or joining our Patreon. I'm looking forward to the year ahead of juicy conversations. I'm so glad you tuned into this episode of Self-Care with Herbs, a segment of the Elder Tree podcast. The Elder Tree is a non-profit dedicated to putting the medicine in the hands of the people through grassroots herbal education and earth skills, weaving a strong community of herbalists, healers, and plant folk in Australia. If you'd like to dive a little deeper, you can head over to our Patreon, the Elder Tree Trove, to access special content from our podcast guests. I hope you found something in this episode that has inspired you to begin to lean into those plant allies and to experience your practice of self-care blossoming and blooming. I look forward to sharing more ways you can weave plant medicine into your days next month.